Welcome to the Human Project. In this series of talks, I'm going to be presenting basic ideas of Marxism, but placed in a longer-term perspective than what's usually found. And that's why I'm calling it the Human Project, because when we go back all the way to history, to the really beginning of when humans were humans, this same idea of Marxism was there right from the beginning. So it's important to see that Marxism, in a way, isn't something new. It's not something that just some grumpy old German guys in 1850 dreamed up. But these are ideas that have existed really from the dawn of humanity. What's new with Marx is Marx and Engels are saying, here's how we achieve it. Not only here's how, but it has to be done. And I'll get to that in a minute. But so if we look at the very beginning of humanity, when humans first became human, evolving from pre-human. So there was a certain point at which we can say people were human. And I see that anthropologists are still mystified and arguing, when was this? When they developed speech, it used to be thought when they developed tools, but then it was seen, well, a lot of animals can use tools, and there are many animals that are as intelligent as actually the average 7-year-old child, as far as solving problems using tools. So that's not it. So when did humans become human? And so it's an interesting question. But it seems like when humans became human, they weren't that excited about it. It's not like they're saying, hey, we're human, we can communicate, eventually we're going to have writing and mathematics, we can have sex whenever we want, unlike animals that are tied to certain cycles. We can think, and so on. It's just great being human. No, they weren't saying that. What it looks like they were saying is, hey, what just happened? We got dropped out of some state of perfection where we were living with the Great Spirit, and we lived at total harmony with animals and nature, and we had wisdom, and what the hell happened? Now we're running around, we can't even think straight, we've lost contact with the Great Spirit. This is terrible, and we have to, try to figure out how to get back to that other state. So the main purpose of our life is going to be getting back to our combining with the Great Spirit and finding that state of harmony. So this seems to me to be what the first humans were thinking and motivating them. So on the one hand, they have to go hunting and gathering, but probably they're spending more time than they spend hunting and gathering, dancing, singing, chanting, doing whatever it takes to try to get back to that state of unity with the Great Spirit, and that sort of more paradise type state. And it seems like every culture had a vision of that. So okay, then we sort of move ahead, and I'll just very quickly, in Egypt, ancient Egypt, they had an idea of Ma'at. Now that's definitely around by 3,000, 3,500 BC, but it's most likely a lot before that. Those Nile River civilizations go all the way back, 10,000 BC, and now artificial intelligence has decided that 35,000 BC, the civilizations up at the headwaters of the Nile, maybe in Uganda, present-day Uganda, developed the first mathematics. So this gone, when they developed these religious ideas, I don't know, but they had a concept of Ma'at that says we strive for a world of harmony and justice, and harmony among people, harmony between people and nature, harmony, and especially harmony between people and the divinity, the oneness of everything. So they had a very clear vision of that, and they considered that their motivating idea of what the kind of world they wanted to live in, and what everything, their wisdom, their endeavors, were aimed at that. And then Christianity had the concept of the kingdom of God, or achieving heaven on earth. And when we look at the great philosopher Hegel, we see that he studied this very carefully, and this was what motivated his whole philosophical system: is how do we get to heaven on earth? Not that complicated. I mean, it is complicated, but it's not that complicated a concept to see that that's what the motivation is. Then we get to Marx. Right after Hegel, Marx wrote in his earliest writings, 1844, this is the kind of society that he envisions, and this is really what he's all about. A society where we are at unity with each other, unity of humanity and nature, animals, the whole natural world, the cosmos, and unity of each one with the all, with the totality of everything. Of course, Marx didn't, speak of the divinity. So that's what Marx, and that was really his motivation as well. What's new with Marx, so what's not new is this vision of a certain kind of world, a harmonious world. And it's important to remember that. It's not like this has been, and that's why I call it the human project, because it's been with us from the beginning. So, but today, in a way, we're sort of further from it than ever. It's like who's even thinking about that? People are thinking more of, just how to survive or how to get by or, whatever they're thinking about. But that vision seems to have been lost. But I think it's needed now more than ever. We need this. The world is in bad shape, and I'll get to that in a minute. I think that it's almost like a biblical proportions. We're in the end times of when all of human history is kind of cycling around, and we're finally at a time where we need to make a choice. Are we going this way or are we going that way? And I think the choice is, are we either going to solve our problems and move toward a more perfect society, or are we just going to let things go the way they are, where there's just a few oligarchs who want to make war, who want to impoverish everybody and accumulate all the wealth for themselves, and are going to just drive everything into the ditch. So in my humble opinion, Marxism is the only mode of thought that really can comprehend everything that's going on in the world today. There's no other form of thought that even tries to grasp the whole thing, except for, say, these, some of these people that are running our government who have a sort of, end times theological point of view, where we're all headed for the rapture or, something like that. So let me just review kind of basic ideas of Marxism, and we'll see where we are. But from Marx's point of view, what's different about Marx is that this form of society, this harmonious form that solved the problems, is based on us actually changing things here in reality. That we have to basically get rid of money, get rid of class society, and here on earth, politically, organizationally, form that society. So it's not a question of going to church and doing what the church tells us, and then maybe the kingdom of God shows up, or even the way Hegel had it, where we all achieve a certain form of consciousness, and then in that form of consciousness we reunite with God, and that solves all the problems. Marx, or let's take Egypt, I don't know what they had in mind, because there's pharaohs running everything and owning everything, and then there's slaves, serfs making up most of the population, and so I don't know. This concept of Ma'at, did it apply to everybody or just to the pharaohs and the priests? Or did they assume that if they achieved Ma'at, all the serfs and slaves would kind of come along with that? I don't know. And interestingly, of all the things, the presentations I've seen about ancient Egypt, I haven't seen anybody address that question. It's all like it exists just up in the clouds somewhere. So the difference with Marx is we solve this problem here on earth. And the way we do that, we have to get rid of private property and form a new form of society. And in the process, we will achieve that, what I'm calling the human project, namely a state of harmony between people and the unity of everything, and between people and the natural world around us. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute.